guys, make a video on Silo. Easy, easy bookmap read. Really easy. Pretty interesting. So, I I don't even have my chart. I'll show you. It's really obvious where I shorted on this. Silo, possible quick pre-market pop. It's a low flow POS. It's probably going to go down. For some reason this pattern has been showing up a lot this week and some early last week, so it's always good to see. Kind of, sometimes these patterns show up all at once, and sometimes they disappear for weeks on end, and then you just don't see them. So, Silo, okay. Here's your pre-market pop. Volume not super impressive on this. Pretty similar to the trades yesterday, NEPT and the other one. So I saw the pop, and I just open up the book, and then here's the first pop, right? So here's like these three candles. And the first thing I see is I see a bunch of bidders here, big bidders too. This is on the book. This is 17K, then another 9K, then even more down here. So I was like, well, I don't really see a lot of offers stacked to the upside. I just see some big bidders. There's a chance that the bidders just get taken out and it goes straight down, but I see even more bidders stacked. If this was completely empty, like if this was like 207 to like 170s, no orders on the book, then yeah, like maybe you like I don't know. I kind of learned with Bookmap, if I see a lot of big bids and not a lot of offers to the upside, it's like why bet on the chance that like uh, the stock is going to go straight down through the bids and go, especially when the bids are this big, right? And just go straight down. So like anything else, we get a quick dump. It actually sells through these bids down to these lower bids. The selling starts to slow down. Obviously, that creates a thinner order book to the upside. And then something very interesting happened where we start seeing bidders on this push. So on this candle, this 25% green candle straight up only. How did it do that, right? Well, it's a combination of the relatively thinner order book, which is the problem with shorting over here, is that there weren't a bunch of big. The only offers were up at 257, 258, right? So, if a stock does get manipulated to the upside, if you're using the order book for risk management, you risk a big squeeze through a relatively empty book where all these lines are just like 1,000 shares. So, what does this guy come do? He comes in and he just starts throwing up bid, more bids. Some of these bids, I think there's some orders. I think it's when Bookmap doesn't show ARCA orders, but I'm pretty sure that I was reading my tape. I was reading my level 2 as this was pushing, and I saw some 20, 25K bids be put on these levels. And now, if you look at these numbers, these are the bids that are shown on Thinkorswim's Bookmap. It all says 3,000, 4,000, 3,000. I'm pretty sure there was an ARCA order, which Thinkorswim Bookmap won't show, that was pushing this up. So, okay, where's it going to push up to? Well, probably at least this 257, 258 level, and let's see where it tops. It tops at 252, so it gets pretty close. And you can see there's just a stack of bids all the way up, right? So now it's looking pretty bullish. Kind of like my APLM long. When I longed it at the top and it went up another 30%. One of the bullish factors in Bookmap is bids following a stock up, right? You not just bids at support, but also bids on the initiation. So it's like, well, I don't want to short into this because of all these bids showing up. But then something very interesting happened. After it reached towards this 257, 258 level, it cleared out, high day, which is 2.4, just 2.5 it cleared out, right? Once it got to that level, we see right here, all the bids start getting pulled, right? And we see new offers to the upside start getting stacked, right? So now we're getting stacked offers and we're getting pulled bids and we're getting weakness, right? So as soon as I saw this, sadly I was a little slow to get in up here. This also was on SSR, so the wonderful world of SSR, you can't just short limit orders into the bid and get filled right away. Um, but yeah, I started shorting in the 230s, and then I saw these bids pull under here. We start getting ask getting walked down, ask getting walked down, ask. This is people trying to get filled on SSR. Very similar to how NEPT was fading, where we saw that ask being walked. Just how bids following a stock up is strong. In a very this it's all context dependent, right? But it's often very strong, especially if bids are following a stock up into a thin order book on the ask. It's very strong. And now we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing bids getting pulled. Not only bids getting pulled, but bids getting pulled at a key moment in time, right? This is a quick pre-market pop, which is pattern. I consider it valid as long if the second high date tops relatively quickly. I consider sometimes it just makes one pop and goes straight down. I miss a lot of those, but these are the ones I tend to hit. And we got a nice little Bookmap read, and guys in my room called this out. They saw the bids pull. I just started shorting in the 230s. There was one bidder that showed up. I was actually getting filled over here when this bidder was kind of propping the stock, and got filled a little bit below. And yeah, you can see the bids getting pulled. You can see the bids getting pulled. So this was just they're just throwing up bids to do the high day clear out, right? It gets to where the asks are in the order book, where people are looking to sell, and then you start seeing new offers come in. You start seeing bids get pulled, and the rest is history. And then we see new offers, and it's just straight down. And yeah, so I'm short based on the book map. This candle, right, in the 230s, went straight down. And yeah, I actually covered most of it in the 160s on the 1 minute 200 because that's kind of where the pump started from. I kind of didn't hold for the 140s down here, so I just kind of took it all off in the 160s and into some of the market open volume. And yeah, that was my biggest trade of the day. Nice, interesting, pre-market pop pattern, right? And then again, I didn't really want to take this because of the bids, and the only ask was up here, and I was kind of wasn't sure about what was going to happen, but this is way better. You see how this is way better confirmation, right? You see how the bids getting pulled and new actual offers getting you still have this guy up here, but then you got new guys, and then you see no bids, and yeah, it's gives you a lot more confidence. Gives you a lot more confidence in the trade when you know there's bids getting pulled after a high day clear out and there's new offers being stacked to the upside. So easiest trade of the day. Since this video was short, I'll do a bonus video. I came onto my computer a little bit too late for this. This is the problem with me. I tend to get on around 8 p.m. and I kind of miss the 7 to 8 a.m. trades. But this is a standard. So this news on RELI was they withdrew the offering proposal, which is usually bearish. It usually causes a big parabolic and then it fades, and then they do an offering later. It's actually not as bullish as it sounds. This is a trick. You'll see guys withdraw registrations, withdraw offerings, and you'll get a parabolic, usually in the pre-market. Very rarely intraday. It's usually a pre-market thing, and then it just fades. But here's your very standard retail flag, right? Clear 123, 124 level. The higher lows, the big retail push right here. That's what this big candle is. Go to the book. This was A+. This was actually A+. I just was not. This would have been my other really nice trade on the day. I hit a few longs on what do you call it, SGD and shot. I big brained some shot, but not a lot of size, sadly. But overall, nice day. But let's go over to this this. Oh god, I just reset the whole thing. I meant to click the chart. There we go. This is the retail push. This is what I wanted to click. So this retail push, right? Retail sees the higher lows. Again, this is a basic flag. What do we learn on low floats, especially ones that did big squeezes? It to the earlier, straight up only. We learned that heavily painted retail flags usually don't work. So when the volume comes in, when the top of this range gets broken, and you see the higher lows, um, in the get the big volume. This is when you want to open up the book map and you want to like zoom in. And the reason you want to zoom in is because on these pushes, here's a common book map trick, is they will throw up bids to support this. So the bid here is forming the higher low. So they throw up a bid here, they throw up a bid here, they throw up a bid here. It's forming the higher lows. But what matters is not if there's bids, because I've done longs before where I long into these bids. So my long, I didn't do it here, but say your long is 115s, 116s down here, and you see the bids follow it up, the bids follow it up. Once you get the big volume, what really matters is, are there new bidders up here, and especially are these bidders down here still holding, or are you getting a 20k bidder moving up, 20k moving up, 20k moving up? Are you actually getting whoever this bidder is supporting the push, right? And what do we get here? Well, on the initiation, the moment you see this so often, the moment the initiation happens, right, and we get to kind of see some levels they could be going to. Here's some 125s, here's some 130s, here's a bunch of empty space. So you can kind of think, well, if it breaks to 125, it might stall at 130 because that's where the empty space is, and there's guys up here. But what do we see? We see no real bidders. There's a few small guys, but no real bidders following this up. And at the top of the retail push, they pull the bids. So they're pulling the bids, right? There's no real bidders following this up. It starts to stall, right? You always get your big, see these green bars? This is the buying, right? So these are these bubbles or these green candles. So big buying, big buying, big buying, and you could see the buying slow down after all the chasing is done. You see the lower volume pullback. You get some bounces, but no real buying appetite at the top, as it's pushing back towards this 130 level. Um, there's a distinct lack of buying happening. And then if we zoom way out, they pull the bids, go straight down, right? And then it goes straight down to, levels bids that are often lower, right? There's like, see this guy down here. So it goes down to where the bids are. And then this, again, has potential, um, to go sub 1 and fade. And yeah, ended up, that was a nice, easy 120s entry, and it faded all the way to 80 cents. So 40% fade. Not only 40% fade, but a lot of times when you get painted long traps at the top like this, a lot of times they signal the top, especially on the low float ones. Now on the really, 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 really strong ones, there's a little bonus at the end here. CDIO yesterday, we actually had another painted retail flag at the top, right? Right, big volume, higher lows, big, here's your flag breakout. This failed, but then on the really strong, this is why trading these multi-day runners, multi-day runners are the hardest things to trade, especially these ones where everyone's trying to catch the top. CDIO, there's always like once every 2 months, there's always some crazy, crazy, crazy penny name that goes nuts. That goes absolutely nuts. And these are the hardest to trade, and there's a reason. There's a reason these are the hardest to trade. And there's a lot of bids on this thing. This CDIO did not have the same order book that SILO and NEPT. Those. If you look at the book map, there's tons of bidders, and especially at deeper support levels on these things, where on CDIO, where RELI. The way low floats trade on the book map is there's just bids and ask at a few key levels. It does the move at once, and then once it's done, they pull the bids, and then it's just fade city through the empty book. A lot of these prices, there's only 1,000 shares, 1,000 shares, 1,000 shares, and it doesn't take a lot of volume to dump 10% and 15% in 1-2 minutes and stuff like that. Where CDIO book is much thicker. There's tens and 20 and 30,000 shares all over the book. So It's just really a different type of stock. And what's funny, this long trap at the top ends up working. If you got in the 180s, this faded 20, 25 cents. Um, but yeah, CDIO just did CDIO strong, crazy multi-day runner things, and I always usually recommend newer traders not to trade multi-day runners. Even really good traders who, high six-fig, seven-fig traders will take losses on the way up on these, even on good patterns, and maybe they make it back on this ticker, maybe they don't, and it's not easy. It's really really not easy. Um, so yeah, you gotta be careful on multi. So a couple bonus things. This video was kind of just meant to be on my SILO trade, but interesting thing at CDIO, they actually have 67,000 shares at this level, 2.47, and then another 100,000 shares here, which is kind of why it met some resistance. Now maybe they're just holding it down and they're gonna pull it, or knowing CDIO is like CDIO is the type of stock where there's 100,000 shares on the ask, it comes up to the 100,000 shares, and then one big block order takes out the whole thing, and it goes, if you see above 250, there's not a whole lot. There's like I said, 10k, 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 but this thing's a little dangerous. It's a little scary. So I don't have shares of this. Trade zero. I think it's because it's a reg show ticker. The shares of this became really expensive, so I'm not even shorting it. So maybe it's a good thing. But yeah, SILO, easy 30%. RELI, RELI, another easy 25-30% that I didn't hit, and those are probably the best, cleanest shorts in my opinion today, based on the structure, based on the book map, based on all that stuff. So hope that was a good one, guys, and stay safe out there. The market's a little strong. You could get caught in things like SHOT, you get caught in things like CDIO. So have a good one, guys.